Welcome to Spa, deep in Belgium's spectacular Ardennes countryside and scene of round 13 of the Formula One World Championship.
This is a very special place, the ultimate racetrack with the most challenging corners of any circuit on the calendar. Hold tight, it's F1 special.
Coming up on today's show, the power behind McLaren Mercedes. Mike Chapman, a father figure for Wurz and Fisichella. What to do when the lights go out. Martin's lowdown on starting a Grand Prix. We're on the road with Eddie Irvine's mum and dad. And David Coulthard talks us round Spa. Plus, there's the best of the action from this afternoon's battle for pole position. Spa is a natural road circuit and it's got everything, including totally unpredictable weather. And the atmosphere is fabulous. In fact, for me, it's what Formula One is all about.
After Michael Schumacher's incredible victory in Hungary, he's just 7 points behind championship leader Mika Häkkinen and 4 races to go. Qualifying was as important as ever. Here's James Allen.
Like the fans, we were all wondering who was really cut out to get the pole at Spa. Qualifying here is not for the faint-hearted. The daunting Eau Rouge corner had already claimed 2 victims in practice, and the pace was far hotter than expected. Mika Häkkinen's opening lap much faster than anyone else could dream of.
Fantastic lap from Häkkinen, 1:49.6, 2/10 over last year's pole.
David Coulthard may only be in the support cast in the championship these days, but he was keen to show how quick he really is. The Scot looked dynamic as he blasted a hole through Häkkinen's time.
Inside the 1997 pole position time.
But the Finn showed his mettle with a thrilling display of bravery.
Let's hear the throttle through here. Not even a hint of a lift. Now, if he carries good speed into the bus stop, this could well be a 1:48.
Indeed it was, but before anyone could catch their breath, Coulthard went faster again. Clearly the story would run and run. Pace-wise, Michael Schumacher was relegated to Division 2 this afternoon. Ferrari just didn't have the speed of the McLarens. He found himself battling with Damon Hill. Damon on cracking form as he took the fight to Schumacher, reviving memories of the old days. Schumacher risked everything through Blanchimont corner, but look at the waved yellow flag in the right-hand side of the screen. Michael Schumacher's best lap will be lost, taken away by the stewards. Speaking of lost, Shinji Nakano did a spot of orienteering in the Ardennes forest, trying to get himself back to the pits. With his championship position under considerable threat, Schumacher was going to need all the help he could get from teammate Eddie Irvine. The Irishman struggled initially to get up the grid, but eventually he made it through to 5th spot. Still no way through for Nakano though. Sometimes life just has a laugh with you. Jacques Villeneuve showed no ill effects from his 188-mile-an-hour accident in practice yesterday. The world champion committed as ever, en route to 6th place for Williams. Why can't he stay with us, wondered Frank. But the real story of the day was the last minute of qualifying, as the battle for pole and the battle for 3rd place reached their nail-biting climax. Coulthard got ahead initially, but Häkkinen was irresistible, the Finn forcing the McLaren out beyond the ragged edge. Behind them, Damon got up to 3rd place in a cat-and-mouse battle with Schumacher, as Häkkinen zeroed in on a memorable pole position.
So, here is Hakkinen up to the bus stop. David Coulthard is there, and Hakkinen is approaching the last corner now. And over the line goes the McLaren and into pole position by 1/10 of a second. Mika Hakkinen does it again. That's his 9th pole position of the year. He's 10th in all, but
Schumacher slower, and Hill goes over for P3. Damon Hill, 49.7, P3. Michael Schumacher didn't improve, Damon Hill did. What a fantastic lap.
And what a fantastic qualifying session. 9th All McLaren front row of the season, the 10th career pole for Mika Hakkinen. Alongside him, David Coulthard, in a fantastic effort from Damon Hill in 3rd place ahead of Schumacher. Then it's Irvine, Villeneuve, Fisichella and Ralf Schumacher in 8th place. And the 3rd time Johnny Herbert has qualified 12th.
Tell you, it was just amazing. I think I thought David gonna get the pole today, and he was very strong all the way through the session, and every time when I did a good time he went even quicker, and the last run it suddenly turned up way round, and I think fantastic. I think it was definitely a fight with me and David today, and I was lucky, I was fortunate, I got the pole.
It was very exciting. Obviously went not the way I wanted it at the end of the session, but I took a little too much curb through the bus stop and gave away what I gained on that lap. But nonetheless, you know, 2nd front row, it's good enough for the race.
Well done, Damon. It just keeps getting better, doesn't it?
Yes, it's been getting better all the time, and this is the best result I've had with Jordan for qualifying, and I'm very, very happy.
Michael, an absolutely fantastic effort at the end, but you must be disappointed that Damon got in front of you there.
I'm not so worried particular about Damon, to be honest. I couldn't do a full lap because I had to slow down of yellow flags. In the last sector, when the Benetton was stopped there, it cost me a couple of tenths, which would have been enough for 3rd position, but I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried on the situation that we're about a second or more than a second behind.
It never ceases to amaze me. When you're standing here, you're smiling, you look happy. You went into a wall at 188 miles an hour yesterday, 25G impact. I mean, what are you made of?
Well, good training, I guess, hitting the walls on the ovals. I don't know, it's just, you know, you have a crash and you just want to get out of the car by yourself and you don't want to be hurt. It's a kind of personal pride or something.
You've learnt now that Eau Rouge isn't flat, I guess.
Well, it was flat in qualifying,
well,
so I'm happy.
So, yet again, the 2 McLarens on the front row of the grid, as we've seen so often this season. And that is due to the fact that they've not only got a fabulous motor car, but an absolutely superb engine. Louise Goodman reports.
You won't get anywhere in Formula One without a powerful engine, and there are few to match the mighty Mercedes. They've won 7 races this year, but the secret to the German giant's success lies with a small British company called Ilmor Engineering.
Our relationship is we are responsible to design and manufacture the racing engines, and so all the components are done at Ilmor. They're all designed at Ilmor, and Mercedes is providing us with additional test facilities in Stuttgart. So we can use transient dyno, we can use single-cylinder dyno there. There are 2 different things we do on the dyno. One is testing the engine statically, and the other way is to do a race simulation. So we can use the engine with exactly the same movements on the throttle as the driver would apply it on the racetrack. In the road car, you want to drive around quietly, efficient, and obviously you want to get there over a long distance. Whereas on the racing engine, you build the engines for maximum performance and very high RPM and relatively short distance. The revs are almost in the order of 3 times difference. So in your road car, if you see 6,500 RPM, that will be fairly high, whereas a modern racing engine will be well over 16,000 RPM. The exhaust temperature is in the order of about 940, 950 degrees C.
But despite the dramatic difference in the race engine's performance, in one respect it's strikingly similar to the average family saloon.
It runs more or less the same fuel as we run on our road cars. It's unleaded fuel, and it's just closer controlled within the regulations, but it is more or less the same as standard fuel. You do need a computer to attach to the engine to be sure everything is loaded down there properly, and that is the modern way of operating a racing engine.
Well, now from power to people, and the subject of this week's F1 People used to carry a magic sponge around the 3rd Division football clubs of England. Now he's a permanent fixture in the world of Formula One.
I am Mike Chapman. I am the physiotherapist for the Benetton Play Life team. I look after these two guys. My primary role really is to look after the two drivers, Giancarlo here and Alexander, essentially to maintain them in a peak state of fitness to drive, which can entail everything from watching over their daily routine and being a father figure to them, to actually the physical side of physiotherapy and massage as well, to get them comfortable both pre and post race. During practice sessions, when I first started, I found myself standing around and just waiting for the guys to finish. But now I've been created an honorary truckie as such. If there's any help that they need in the garage, you know, removing tyres and taking them out the back or what have you, then I'll try and do that for them. It's just a case of mucking in and doing what you can. My last job for 7 years was in professional football with Exeter City, so hopefully they've done well this afternoon. So again, it's a totally different culture for me. I mean, football is obviously totally reliant on the human element. In this particular business, we're talking about the mechanical element of the car and its effect on the body as well.
He got good hands, knows what to do. He finds out straight the points which pain mostly on the bake for racing drivers. And he learned quite fast what is important at racing, because before he worked, I think, with footballers, and it's a different story than racing.
I'm also trying to provide a service to the backup crew, the mechanics, the truckies, the engineers, anybody that has a problem, then I'm open to it, and then I'll sort it out for them. I'd be wrong to say I didn't miss football, I do, but this is a new challenge. I've got two exceptionally good drivers to work with here. I class them as good friends as well as professional partners, so yeah, this is a challenge and I'm enjoying it.
Coming up after the break, on tour with Eddie Irvine's mum and dad, and Martin's got some advice on how to deal with that heart-stopping moment, the start. So stay with us.
Welcome back. Now, often in Formula One these days, the best chance to overtake is off the start line and into the first corner. With launch control and traction control banned these days, it's up to the driver to make the perfect getaway.
Go! Villeneuve gets away and Schumacher gets away. Better. Michael Schumacher leads.
Starting technique varies from driver to driver, but have you ever tried to operate one of those lawnmowers that won't go anywhere and suddenly takes you across the lawn cartoon-like? Well, it's a bit like that, trying to start a Formula One car. The only difference is you have half the weight of a Mini and 10 times the power of a fast family saloon car. It's a mechanical procedure, but it becomes a head game in the end. You can talk yourself in or out of a good start.
You concentrate, basically, you in your own world at that moment.
There is not really emotion, but it's just logic going through your mind, what do you have to do.
If you do about 3 or 4 bad ones, then it does become the case of being something that's quite psychological.
So at the end of the green flag formation lap, you've got to park your car precisely on your grid position. Not quite as easy as it seems. There's a lot of colour and you've got to park exactly in your slot. Then you're going to hit the neutral button on the steering wheel and you just take a bit of time, look around you, wait for the rest of the grid to form up, try to control your breathing, and now you're looking for the red lights to come on to signify the start procedure. At that point, you pull the clutch in on the paddle on the steering wheel and then select first gear. So that's what you're doing with your hands, but down there in the pedal box, there's also some work to do. Your left foot will be on the brake pedal like this, and just a little bit of throttle for 9 or 10,000 RPM. You're staring at the lights, waiting for them to go out, and as soon as they do, swap it all over and release the clutch handle.
Just trying to limit the amount of wheel spin. you know, anyone can drop the clutch and spin the tyres, but it's a little more difficult to control the amount of clutch slip and tyre slip you get to make the ultimate start, and that's what I try and do.
It's just concentration and making sure you're doing the things you're meant to do. It's very easy just to concentrate on the lights and forget about what you're doing with the clutch and what you're doing with the throttle.
You can win a race that you might not have won if you can get a good start.
But this is what a bad start looks like from the cockpit. Mika Hakkinen having technical problems in Canada earlier this year. But this is the ultimate nightmare scenario. A stalled car on the grid, somehow everybody missing the back of that Jordan. If you get it right, you're doing 100 miles an hour in just over 2.5 seconds. You're driving on your instincts, looking for gaps, and then you arrive at a corner like this, La Source hairpin at Spa. One of the slowest and toughest first corners in the world, just 40 miles an hour. You breathe a big sigh of relief if you get through here safely, and ahead of you 44 laps of one of the greatest circuits in the world.
One man renowned for his demon starts is Ferrari's Eddie Irvine, and two of his biggest fans are his mother and father, Kathleen and Edmund. They travel to most of the races in a camper van. It's a very different Formula One lifestyle. You've both encouraged him enormously through the years, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been a family affair right from the very start. Sonia was involved and Kathleen, when we first started, Kathleen done the cooking and I done the mechanicking at the Formula Ford. It's always been that way with an old motorhome.
How do you feel? What do you say when someone comes up to you and say, "Are you really Eddie Irvine's mother?"
I just smile.
A lot of them don't believe you, so you just say, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
They don't believe that the mother of a Grand Prix driver would be in a campsite, and they can't believe that. They say you should be in a hotel.
They expect you to be in a Rolls Royce and staying in a five-star hotel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you must get a lot more fun this way, don't you?
This is why we do it.
Yeah.
Really, because these are the real people, these are the fans.
I think he's a Ferrari fan here. This is Pietro. Very famous fan here at Hockenheim.
Now, you've had a camera and you've been doing some home movie stuff, which we've been looking at with great interest and admiration. Where did you start off in Austria?
Started off in Austria with the camera. That's whenever the crew first gave it to us, and started to practice with it there. I think I've got to get better with it.
What sort of things were you taking?
Well, it's mostly people in the campsite, interesting people that we have met along the way at different Grand Prix, and just those sort of things.
And so it was from Austria to Hungary, was it?
Austria to Hungary we've been doing.
How long did that take you?
I've lost track of time. I don't even know what month it is.
Who does the driving?
I do all the driving.
And you do the navigating?
He always goes the other way anyway, so I just keep quiet.
You do the cooking and looking after him? Yeah. What about Hungary? What do you think of it?
I think Hungary is one of the best Grand Prix to go to, in my opinion anyway. And I told so many people about it, and they all came out this year. There must have been about 200 or 300.
We've got some. You took some marvellous stuff in Budapest in the Irish pub, wasn't it?
That's right, back at Irish
Tell
pub.
us about that.
Oh, it was the first night we arrived there. Was the Jordan party was on, and then it just continued after that. Hey EJ, would you give me an interview for Irvine Productions?
Do you plan to keep on doing it next year, for instance?
Well, we should. Our children are very good to us, so they supply the funds for us, so it should be no problem.
Well, it's lovely to talk to you.
And you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark.
Well, there you go, two lovely people. Now, that was a sensational qualifying session. We were supposed to be joined here by Michael Schumacher, but he's otherwise engaged. But at least you've got some good news.
Yeah, he's in the technical briefing, but at least the hat I got off of him at the Brazilian Grand Prix, the cap on the grid, we're going to give that away at the next race in Monza, so please stop writing to me.
So it's really happening. Now, it's a tricky old circuit here. We've seen two major crashes, Villeneuve and Salo, both at roughly the same place. Now, look at Villeneuve doing 180 miles an hour, straight into the tyre wall. The car disintegrates around him.
Yeah, there he goes. Look, you realise very early he's not going to make it. Jumps on the brake pedal, but can only take a few kilometres off. Salo went off on the other side of the racetrack, look, Murray, and went in forward, which actually is potentially a nastier accident.
Yeah, but very lucky. He didn't actually go into the tyre wall.
Notice his rear wheel's still spinning, look. He's still got power on, which is unusual. Usually the engine cuts at that point.
And absolutely miraculous that they both got out of the car and took part in qualifying this afternoon. Just shows you how strong the modern car is. But there's other problems here at Spa. For instance, the bus stop and a lot of other places, very, very bumpy. Just look at this.
Yeah, well, that works the car hard. You can imagine the stress that's going through the suspension. And with these, look, and Michael Schumacher, they're actually getting the chassis up on the curb. So, and then you're going to go through these very, very high-speed corners, having given the suspension that kind of stick.
And yet they finished, cars in good shape and a wonderful qualifying session, as I was saying. And yet again, Mika Häkkinen up there on pole position ahead of David Coulthard and Damon Hill. And just look at this lap, absolutely millimetre perfect.
Yes, Coulthard has just edged him to take provisional pole, and this is Häkkinen's answer. A tremendous lap of a 48.6, and that's 0.8 of a second faster than last year's pole even.
What about tomorrow? Häkkinen, Coulthard, Schumacher or Hill?
I think Häkkinen, if he doesn't make a mistake, has got the car and the speed to do it. He's got Coulthard to defend him. Hill's in there having a great weekend, so Michael Schumacher's got his work cut out, but he's a bit special round here.
OK, before we go, time to tell you who the lucky people are who won our competition for the visit to the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. All you had to do was answer 2 easy questions. How many Grand Prix did Jackie Stewart win in his career? And the answer was B, 27. And the other question was, how many World Drivers' Championships did Jackie Stewart win? And the answer was 3. Great driver. And the winners were Trevor Harding from Waterlooville in Hampshire, Julie Batchelor, who lives in Great Bookham, Surrey, Lee Phillips from Enfield, Middlesex, and Simon Farrer, who lives in Chesterler Street, County Durham. Finally, Darren Yeomans from Sheldon in Birmingham. Now, the big question here is, can Michael Schumacher win tomorrow and equal Ayrton Senna's record of 5 victories here at Spa? It'll be tough for him with both the McLarens and Damon Hill in front of him. But you can find out by watching us live on ITV at 12:30 tomorrow. Meantime, we leave you with a lap of Spa and David Coulthard.
Here we are starting a flying lap of my favourite circuit in the Grand Prix calendar, across start-finish line.
Braking hard down into first gear as you go through La Source, one of the slowest corners on the track. Accelerate out of La Source, a little bit of oversteer wheel spin as you accelerate down towards Eau Rouge. You can see my gear display in the middle of the dashboard display there. You can see I go into Eau Rouge taking in 6th gear, very impressive corner, very difficult, a lot of load on the car as you go through the apex. You then go along the Rodillion straight, pretty straightforward. Just sit there and hope that you've got the right wing level to get a good top speed. You then heavy on the brakes down into 2nd gear for braking for Lecombe, which is a right, left, right section. You struggle for traction a little bit on the exit of Malmedy, using all the curb as you run down towards the Rivage, which is again heavy on the brakes, down into 2nd gear, a lot of understeer. You can see that front tyre working very hard, bit of graining on that tyre. Exit that up into 3rd before dropping through this left-hander, a lot of curb on the inside, all the curb on the exit, trying to get every last bit of speed out of the car. Drop down towards Pouhon, which is a very impressive 4th gear corner, double apex, a lot of G-force through there, very hard on the neck, fighting the steering all the way through. Accelerate up into 5th gear, down into a right-left, right section, which is all taken in 2nd gear. Struggle a lot for front-end grip through those corners, using the curb on the exit. And then very important to get a good exit out of this corner because it carries you all the way down towards Blanchimont. Struggle a little bit with oversteer through here. You can see using all the curb on the exit, flicking up all through the gears, 5th, 6th, and then running flat down towards Blanchimont corner, which is taking absolutely flat out, 180 miles an hour. A lot of load in the car, a lot of load in the driver. You then position yourself for braking for the bus stop, which is a big heavy stop on the brakes, down into 1st gear, use all the curbs on the left and the right, a lot of wheel spin on the exit, and then it's flat across both the curbs again to finish your lap and hopefully take pole position.
If you would like to know more about Formula One, the website address sponsored by F1 Racing Magazine is www.itv-f1.com.